Welcome back to the news at 10. 15 Boko Haram insurgents have been reportedly killed and many others wounded in the northern part of Borno State. And that's according to the Nigeria Air Force, which says it's launched an aerial bombardment 72 hours after the commissioning of 6 warplanes to tackle the insurgents. Spokesman of the Nigerian Air Force, Group Captain Ayodele Famuyiwa, said the insurgents were spotted during surveillance by one of its intelligence planes. The Ekiti State Governor Ayo Fayose is accusing the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission of freezing his bank account. The governor said he was denied access to his Zenith bank account in the Ekiti State capital today. At a press conference in Ado-Ekiti, Mr. Fayose said it's unlawful and against the country's constitution for any financial crimes agency to freeze the accounts of a sitting governor. He's vowed to follow legal processes to fight the EFCC on the matter. When Channels Television contacted the EFCC on the matter, the agency's spokesman Wilson Uwajere could not confirm the allegation. He, however, added that though the EFCC cannot prosecute sitting governors, the anti-graft body has the power to investigate them. And the challenges arising from dependence on foreign goods can only be resolved when Nigerians start patronizing locally made goods. And that's coming from the acting managing director of the Bank of Industry, Mr. Wahid Olagunju, during his visit to the palace of the Oluwo of Iwu, Oba Abdul Rashid Akombi, in Iwu local government area of Osun State. Mr. Olagunju said the organization is ready to assist the fabric makers to expand their businesses and improve quality to meet export standards.
White man or any other foreigner, they will learn from you if they can see you with something different. They will come to you and ask you, where is it from? Thereby promoting our culture, putting our people back to business, more employment. Believe me, when this starts, we can gain millions of jobs from this, not only thousands. I'm talking about our own people. We plant cotton here. Our own people looking for a way to go and be designers, to make their own cloth out of what they have here instead of looking outside. We can promote this and we can be proud of our own.
We are to fund them when they're going to scale up. They will need equipment. And those who do the weaving, the equipments are produced locally using Nigerian wood. That's talking about domesticating our production capacity.
Yeah.
So, and vertically and horizontally, the value chain is quite extensive. You know, you're talking about colors. There are those who make the colors who are into dyeing,
yes,
for instance. So there's quite a lot. It's a highly labor-intensive industry, and there's a job for everybody. We're talking about rural industrialization, right? From the micro, small, and medium enterprises. And all these things start from the rural area.
yes.
You know, and when you start development from the rural areas, that's when they can become sustainable and genuine.
The judicial system should spell out punishments for those who approach the courts with flimsy cases. This is one of the resounding comments at the first ever International Court of Arbitration Conference here in Lagos. Speakers from across the world emphasized on the need for counsel to advise their clients on the importance of adopting arbitration in their contracts.
The International Chamber of Commerce opens the first ever regional edition of the International Court of Arbitration Conference. The gathering here is to discuss the prospects and challenges bordering on the settlement of disputes outside the courts in Africa.
You know, we do need to advise clients that when you get to the award, it is an award. Irrespective of, if the client can't pay the award, it's a totally different thing, but it's not for us to reopen the whole conversation and sets us back. Essentially, not just does it set the case back, it sets the country back.
Our judicial system should penalize people who fail, who bring flimsy cases to court. I think that after spending maybe $2 to $5 million on an arbitration, right, and getting an award, it costs you your recovery in the judicial system can be as nominal as 50,000 naira. The judge will say, and then everybody will say, as the court pleases. Okay, that has to change.
A decision.
As much as arbitration is being adopted by this conference, other controversial issues are raised.
There are medium to small-scale arbitrations. there are huge arbitrations. For instance, if you are arbitrating a dispute concerning a huge gas plant, you cannot expect that to be a cheap arbitration, whichever way you look at it.
International investors are afraid and worried about the local systems, which they're not familiar with. But in the arbitrations, the parties choose their panel. So it is something that we need. It will help us when we're attracting foreign direct investment. It will help more people to invest here. They will have certainty of settlement of disputes.
Some years ago, there was still a large majority of counsel involved in arbitration, which were the English or American or French law firms. Now we see more and more local law firms, and this is good.
What we expect is that the National Assembly will see the point we are making in regard to this, because obviously any attempt to stifle arbitration will be prejudicial to the interests of Nigeria.
The two-day conference rounds off on Tuesday with more to discuss.
Guarantee. So in case the state wins...
Let's take a look at some business news for the day. Here's Emana Amawe.
You first. First Bank.
Hello and welcome to Business News. The central bank sold $530 million for 280 naira per dollar at a special auction and later sold a further $86.5 million directly on the interbank market at 281 to 285 naira on Monday after a managed float of the naira failed to attract trading between banks due to liquidity concerns. The rate was notably weaker than the 197 peg the central bank had maintained for 16 months before abandoning it last week in a bid to alleviate chronic forex shortages and stop the economy from sliding into recession. The naira had traded just twice by midday before the central bank held its special auction to clear a backlog of hard currency orders. And it was a mild drama today at the Ministry of Finance as some workers locked the main gate of the building, preventing the minister, Mrs. Kemi Adosun, from gaining entry to her office. The protesters, who carried placards bearing various inscriptions, accused the minister of not paying their allowances and called for her immediate removal. In the meantime, the management of the ministry has dismissed the agitation by the workers for 1.2 billion naira payment, saying the protests have no justifiable grounds. In a statement, the management explained that the payment of what the protesting workers called a special overtime was stopped by the last administration in 2014 because it was not listed in any extant government circular, financial regulations or the public service rules. And Nigeria has the largest concentration of social investment spending in the Shell Group, as a total of $195.5 million was spent by Shell Petroleum Development Company in the country in 2015. Of the amount, about $145.1 million was paid to the Niger Delta Development Commission, while another $50.4 million was directly spent on social investments projects by the Shell Petroleum Development Company of Nigeria joint venture and Shell Nigeria Exploration and Production Company. According to the managing director of SPDC and the country chair, Mr. Sagi Okumbo, Shell companies in Nigeria are also actively involved in the development and utilization of natural gas and its production and delivery to domestic consumers and export markets. The Nigerian equities market reversed its positive momentum at the close of today's trading session as investors switched to profit-taking on last week's gains. Bolaji Akinwale has details.
Welcome to the Stock Market Report. Despite much positive expectations from the commencement of the central bank's flexible forex policy today, the local bourse closed Monday's session largely negative, down by 1.63%, while the market's capitalization dropped to 9.88 trillion naira from 10 trillion naira. Industry blue chip stocks dominated a list of 33 price decliners, but in percentage terms, Ecobank Transnational Incorporated emerged as the highest, shedding 5%, while NACO followed as top contenders. On the gainers list, Nemeth led 16 other stocks with an 8.89% price gain. Law Union and Rock was second with 8%, while Champion Brewers finished in third position. The overall transaction yielded a total of 416.6 million shares in 4,684 deals at a value of over 2.25 billion naira. FBN Holdings was the day's most actively traded stock with more than 88.3 million shares. UBA followed with 59.4 million shares, and in third position was Diamond Bank with 55.2 million shares. And that's it on the stock market reports. I am Bolaji Akiwali.
Many thanks, Bolaji. And the Director General of the Debt Management Office, Dr. Abraham Nwankwo, has been speaking on the federal government's 3-year plan for debt management, saying that the policy is targeted at increasing external borrowings while reducing domestic financing. Dr. Nwankwo, who was speaking at a news conference in Abuja, says that the federal government plans to reduce domestic borrowings to 40%, down from the current 84%. He says long-term plans are underway to address issues of foreign exchange that may arise while taking external loans. And Asian, US and European equities finished Monday's session in positive territory as fears of Britain's exit from the European Union eases. But African markets ended with mixed sentiments. Let's take a look at some of the figures. And that's it on Business News Tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Imana Amawe. It's back to you, Joma.
You first. First Bank.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Nigeria's Sports Reforms Committee completes first phase of restructuring program. That will be on sports. Please stay with us.